Satoru Gojo's dream for the next generation to become as powerful as him is coming true. Another sorcerer has joined the club to reach the strongest, with Sukuna fascinated with his potential. After all, Gege admitted Gojo is the ceiling of strength in the official fan book, which means everyone is being compared to him. So far, we have Yuta, Yuji, Takaba, Maki and Hakari. But now, Higuruma has been added to that list as the executional blade threatens Sukuna's life.
Oh yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for.
In chapter 245, Yuji and the others run into bad luck as the gamble of using Higuruma's Judgement backfired, since Sukuna's shrine was not confiscated. Instead, it was a cursed tool that they did not know about at that time, which is why Kusakabe had to jump in to save Higuruma, as his sword has the best chance for victory. However, Sukuna's hands are rated E for everyone, and he's enjoying the thrill of killing anyone joining the battle.
Bodies, 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 bodies!
It's next to impossible for sorcerers like Kusakabe, Ino, and even Choso to stay alive, because they neither have reverse curse technique nor durability like Yuji or Gojo. But Kusakabe still pulls out the only skills he knows other than yapping. New Shadow Style Simple Domain. Simple Domain is an anti-domain technique that creates a small barrier around the sorcerers to protect them from the imbued curse technique or the automatic hit of a domain expansion. Even Gojo used it in chapter 226, showing how effective it is. This is why Kusakabe could protect Higuruma, even declaring that he will continue doing so until he's dead. Well, except he instantly regrets saying that, because bro ain't built for this and isn't the main character. But the more surprising thing here is that Sukuna is now handing out compliments like candy to kids, as he notes that everyone has leveled up. This dude was calling Satoru freaking Gojo a fish on his cutting board and a mediocre sorcerer, but now is praising side characters too.
I can't take this no more, man.
Sukuna is instantly aware of how not just Yuji, but even his crew's cursed energy reinforcement skills have drastically upgraded. It's as though Utahima has been boosting everyone. This reinforces the tough training regime the gang went through after Gojo came back. Remember, we had a month time skip where Yuji was training his new curse technique with Kamo and Choso, as well as his soul swap with Kusakabe. In chapter 244, we see Yuji attack Sukuna's soul, where the king ponders on what happened. The proof for this is given recently with Mahito's punch in the anime, showing the same effect on Yuji when he evolved. This is very important as Maki also has a blade that can attack the soul and bypass any toughness. She claimed even if Sukuna can't die, he won't be able to heal wounds on his soul. However, at this point of time, Sukuna is still just playing around and having fun. But as Kusakabe accepts his fate to die in this battle, he doesn't let that stop him from fulfilling his duty as Exposition-kun, as he realizes about, I don't know, maybe 129 chapters too late on how Sukuna's curse technique works.
I can see what they're doing, what he's doing. I can see it, I feel it. He's cooking.
But he does drop an important piece of information that our community has predicted correctly, which is in regards to Sukuna's world dividing slash. Like, why haven't he used it against Kusakabe? An attack like that would have killed him instantly. The only explanation is that there is a certain cooldown period or a binding vow. So yeah, it's been confirmed. Sukuna needed a binding vow to defeat Gojo. But it's not like this information matters, as fans will always say Gojo was nerfed and couldn't lose.
We do not care.
But you should care, as this provides the gang a chance to get revenge for Gojo. Essentially, the attack Sukuna used to kill him was an altered version of Cleave, which had expanded the target to space, existence, and the whole world itself. We already saw that changing even something as small as the size of your domain requires a binding vow that compromises the effectiveness of the technique. This is why such a broken power must have a huge trade-off from Sukuna. Sukuna. It's possible that every time he uses it, he becomes defenseless and susceptible to pretty much any attack. However, since we are, reading Sukuna Kaisen and Gege can't stop glazing this man, if it was a cooldown instead, he could be ready to use it anytime now. Another worry that Kusakabe raises is that Sukuna is not using the fire technique from Shibuya. He saw Jogo, who is scaled to 8 to 9 fingers, getting cooked with the black box attack, so there's no way for anyone to escape. That's why, for now, Kusakabe simply concludes that Sukuna just can't use it right now and proceeds to focus on the fight.
This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently.
Before they F around and find out, Joso jumps in to save the day. But Sukuna disappears before Choso's piercing blood could even reach him, to then immediately send him to the Donut Club. Choso! But don't worry guys, there's another surprise waiting as Ino swoops right in.
Who?
He's here with the most shocking weapon, the blade, used by none other than Nanami. It's imbued with a 7-3 ratio technique, which is why it even takes Sukuna by surprise when it hits him, especially hard. However, since he saw this technique whilst in Yuji's body, he instantly figures it out. Ino considered Nanami his mentor. He was even supposed to get a promotion to grade 1 from him after Shibuya, as he respected Nanami the most, which is why carrying this weapon is such an emotional moment.
It's enough to make a grown man cry, but not this man.
Now, if you guys forgot the whole purpose of these guys participating in this battle, well, don't worry, so did I. Nah, just kidding. It's actually also Higuruma can land a killing blow with his sword. They are pretty much flies just there to pester Sukuna until the right moment presents itself. And that's when Yuji and Kusakabe go in for another attack, trying to create a path for him, only for Sukuna to grab him and throw him like trash. Seeing that Higuruma is vulnerable, Yuji instantly gets into action, trying to get to him before Sukuna does, but he's simply too fast. Mind you, Yuji could run 100 meters in 6 seconds before he even knew about cursed energy, and later would keep up with Maki in chapter 214, which was around 2,300 miles per hour. Gojo was declared the fastest, even more so than Naobito, but at this point, Sukuna is outpacing everyone with his true form. Yuji's level up is still not enough, which leads us to our lawyer standing up to fight again. But we first receive insight that Megumi's life update is getting better instead of worse.
Yes! Yes!
Yes guys, Megumi can come back with Sukuna being killed. I don't know why he would want to, since his 10 shadows are gone. Gojo is gone. His sister is dead. Zenin clan deleted. He won't be the leader. All his friends would be dead. Yep, it's true. As we learn that Yuji is preparing to sacrifice himself, he asks Higuruma about the specifics of Judgement and how the death penalty actually works. This is when a huge secret is revealed. Even though the person who is stabbed with the executioner sword dies, with no exception, its actual target is the person who was declared guilty of the crime. The fact that Judgement would identify multiple souls inside of a vessel was already proven during Yuji's trial. During this, if Yuji had denied committing the murders, it would have been true, as even Higuruma stated that the evidence provided to him named Yuji innocent. Hence, the domain knew that it was Sukuna inside of Yuji's body who was the criminal. As a result, he would be the one to die, not Megumi. This is certainly the best chance to kill 2 birds with 1 stone for the crew. However, this also implied that Higuruma had to place his life on the line, even potentially die, whilst fulfilling his role. After all, doesn't know reverse curse technique either, as Yuji points out. But as we stated earlier, Higuruma already sees himself as a criminal who placed himself above the law he wanted to exercise, which is why it's only fair that he can't be saved. In the end, he has to punish himself and accept death. If there's anyone who understands this emotion all too well, it's our boy Yuji. He was destined to die since he ate the first finger of Sukuna, and the only choice he had made was the way he would die. In the same way, Yuji recognizes that Higuruma also views himself as a cog in the machine that has to carry out its purpose without thinking of the bigger picture. Yuji believes Higuruma should stay alive, as he himself will die taking out Sukuna with him. His dream is to be surrounded by friends upon having a good death, which cannot come true if they're all not around. After all, Gojo said to die to win and to die victoriously are two different things. Regardless, Higuruma has already pinned himself for the sacrifice. However, those of you who watched our stream would have known that our member Ajit suggested that Yuji will not let that happen. With his mentality to save everyone and be the only sacrifice, he will not let Higuruma die, and the way he can save his life is soul swap. Higuruma's blade is the one shot one deal, where only he can wield it, and knowing Sukuna, he will have his way around this. However, if Yuji soul swaps, he will be able to fight Sukuna with this blade, along with showcase his dominance with his soul power. However, for now, Higuruma isn't done. Hence, back in this fight, he gets up and ends up pulling a boss move. If you thought that it was all over for him, you are wrong. Without anyone to protect him this time, Higuruma literally tanked Sukuna's slashes with his domain amplification. In easy words, domain amplification is a refined version of simple domain, where it neutralizes any opposing curse technique or domain expansion they come into contact with. It was mentioned in chapter 171 that when Jogo and Hanami used domain amplification against Gojo in chapter 85, it was powerful enough to include a curse technique, but they refrained from doing so, all in order to neutralize Gojo's limitless within the amplified barrier. This technique is basically how Sukuna avoided Gojo's unlimited void in chapter 227 as well. Despite being such an OP ability, there are only a few people who even understands how to do it, which is why Higuruma pulling it off is such a huge deal. Not only did this dude reverse engineer his curse technique from his domain alone, but within 2 months, he has also unlocked such a high level power by simply observing Gojo in his fight. Just imagine he had years to train rather than just a few months. He would have jumped straight in becoming Yuta's rival.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Alright fine, maybe I'm stretching a little. Well, despite that, we can't really classify him as a special grade sorcerer because according to Jujutsu High's classification, the utility of his domain and technique can't extend to multiple opponents or a city. Hence, he's certainly in the upper ranks of grade 1 sorcerer since he does have potential that rivals Satoru Gojo. As we pointed out earlier, Gojo was correct in estimating that the new generational sorcerers wouldn't be limited to special grades. What's more is that Higuruma's ability to grow in such an extraordinary manner within such a short time, along with the sword of certain death, all of this has completely fascinated Sukuna. It seems that Higuruma is the new Megumi for Sukuna, which is giving me nightmares. We know that he's obsessed with understanding true Jujutsu, along with stealing shit from others. Jogo's flames, which burned hotter with him, Megumi's 10 shadows, which were finally utilized the way it was supposed to, and Maharaga's adaptation of infinity was deemed impossible, but not for Sukuna. And now, Sukuna wants to wield this blade for himself. But if you guys want to watch more peak fiction, then make sure to check out this video where we go over Kishimoto's pretty much confirmation on Boruto X Sarada.